Well, it's the afternoon of October 5th, and I'm back on that property where I had the encounter with a really nice buck the other day. I also got a little more information off of the muddy trail camera that I have on that food plot. I had it on field scan mode, and I looked through some of those pictures, and that buck had come out a couple other times in daylight in the last 2 weeks. Looked at the weather for those days, and some of them were warm, just like today, with south-southeast wind. So kind of the same conditions that buck has been moving in the past couple weeks, so I'm just going to give it a try. So Preston and I are going to go in tonight and set about where Danny and I did the other night where we saw him. Just set on that pasture. Probably going to sit on the ground. I've got an idea of a spot that should work well for that. But I'm taking the decoy in with me, and my hope is if that buck pops out like he did the other night, more than likely it's going to be late. And he just stood there for a long time kind of surveying the pasture before he eventually hopped the fence. My hope is if he does pop out with the decoy, hopefully that'll draw him in. Anyways, that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Preston and I just got set up, and I like the looks of it. And the hope is that deer pops out, same spot that he did last night, or I guess anywhere along this pasture, sees the decoy, and we'll just come marching right in. We've got the cover set up to where I could hide, and as he gets within range, be at full draw, and get a shot. The decoy is about 20 yards away. It is early for using a decoy. I can't say that I've ever used one quite this early, but I know guys that have and have killed them even in September using decoy. But the reason why I think it could work, from what I've seen, this is the oldest buck on this farm. He's definitely a mature deer, 5+ years old, judging by the pictures. So presumably he would be the most dominant. That's not necessarily always the case, but it's a little bit of a long shot. But overall, I like the setup. I would suspect that if we see any deer movement, it's not going to be until after the sun goes down. So it's a nice evening. Just sit back and enjoy it, and hopefully that buck comes out, comes right into the decoy. Give me about a 20-yard shot. That would be that'd be a heck of a way to start off the season. Raccoon right here. We've got about 20 minutes left in the evening, and as you can tell, there's a combine behind me. They're just starting to pick the corn. And we had a doe and 2 fawns that came out, and even with the combine picking right there, they worked their way out along the edge of the pasture and headed out to the corn. It definitely feels like that buck could step out yet tonight. So if not, our grand total for the evening is a doe and 2 fawns and a young raccoon that ran into the brush pile behind me here. He's been hanging out with us for about the last half hour. He's about 5 feet over my left shoulder, just buried back in here. Anyways, we're going to keep after this buck as much as possible, and especially now with this corn being cut. I feel like hunting this pasture is relatively low impact. As long as he doesn't see us getting out of here in the evening. Hopefully he shows up, but if not, the quest will continue.